Oh, hi. My name is, my name is, my name is. Just want to say a warm welcome. Thank you for being on my page. Thank you for who you are and who you be. I have many of you that have been reaching out. I am getting back with each and every one of you when God tells me I can. It's this bouncing around of a platypus Bible of awarenesses of how many people need to be touched right now with God's divine truth and love and mercy, and helping them realize that this inner balance is actually inside of us. And so when we can learn to calm ourselves down inside and have faith and knowing everything's going to be okay, what happens is everything around us starts becoming okay. And all those things that you thought were so scary and, oh my gosh, another hurdle I got to jump over, you start getting strength to just jump over it. It's just like, oh, okay, no worries. And you stop allowing anything to keep you from your internal knowing and your internal purpose. And that is a great place to be. So I'm going to leave a message here for you today. And it's this interesting platypus Bible that I've been working on apparently for centuries. It's a integration of all religions, cultures, peoples, all of that. And to really understand someone, you must become them. It's kind of like understanding what a pomegranate symbolizes. Let's call it the other ancient fruit you are not supposed to eat according to certain Greek gods, unless you would like to become Persephone and come down into this earth-like world that is very physically formed, and it is much denser than, let's say, well, I don't know if I call it denser. Let's just say God's created many, many, many worlds for us to explore and to play with. But for whatever reason, we like to be trapped on this one. And we like to create problems to solve and have purpose and create multi-dimensions that we can learn and study ourselves from. It's all quite ingenious, actually. But long story short, it's a Platypus Bible that has been interweaving galactically for some time, and only those who live outside of time, which happens to be many actually, but let's say Jesus meets you when you find this pivotal point in your existence, and he catches you on this bridge and he says, oh, hey, Natalie, how about you stop being a little bitch and let me love you? Oh, that was the little thing in life that triggered me more than anything anybody had ever said to me. I mean, come on. I had just been loving people my whole life. What do you mean I didn't know how to let people love me? So it became this instant research project. I pretty much dived my entire existence into it to discover more about this man. Now, he didn't say his name was Jesus. I'm going to be honest. He did not say his name was Jesus. He just told me certain things that I later found about 3 years later after I said a prayer, because I got a Christian neighbor, and she was very interesting, and I wanted to respect her cultures because I had been very much into the Hindu culture. As when I met Jesus, he told me to wear a bindi and spoke to me in Sanskrit and different languages like that first and originally, and he told me he created everything. And he says, I put India on planet Earth for you to enjoy because I once gave it to you as a gift. And then he takes me to this planet that completely is India, like it's an entire planet of India. He says, yes, I created this for you. And it's this thing where you're like, did Christ just barely say, or this person say, I created this planet for you and this planet for you, I created everything for you? And that India is just one of my favorite planets. And he says, you took it back to Earth to remind yourself of me. Well, that was mind-opening. And I says, I've never been to India. And he says, you're currently liberating India. And I says, again, I've never been there. In fact, I told him about my life as Sharon Tate, and I very much remembered all my past lifetimes. And I started going into detail and arguing with him. And he said, there's no such thing as time. There's simply... And then he went into a big, long theological spiel. And long story short, he told me about this woman that I was currently, like, I am just a future projection of her, you could say, as if this is a dream upon a dream upon a dream upon a dream. Long story short, he told me I was this woman in another timeline, but I told I was Sharon Tate. He says there's no such thing as time. And so it's this thing where you start realizing, oh, I am this, and I am this, and I am this, and I am this. And you get this golden light that starts coming out of you, that in other dimensions where you just glow. And you become this shiny, this protector of your people. And I am this, and I am this, and I am this. And you have the wisdom of all these timelines looping together into one. And it can become very confusing when you're integrating and becoming supernatural in a lifetime where you're actually self-actualizing into theosis, which is becoming like God. So he explains all this, and then I start discovering everything he's saying is actually real. And everything he said was in a Jesus book. But he also talks about Shiva. He called me Shiva. And that freaked me out because I thought Shiva was a dude. And it ends up causing me to start integrating all of these deities and all these goddesses and all of these beings coming through me as a divine vessel of truth for a good couple thousand years. And yet it only happened for 3 years here. And so it's this ability to travel through the Akashic records at such a rapid speed that you literally start quantum leaping through time and seeing all the different aspects of who you are, as if you always self-actualize. No matter what, if you die in one lifetime, you're always born into another, and then you keep going on the same mission and same path, and then you find out that a lot of it is just because you're stubborn and you won't go back to see God, who really loves you and misses you. And you're like, oh, but then he's like, you're self-actualizing though, so you have to transcend this. Okay, what does that mean? So, long story short, this is the battle of wits I'm in. There's this woman called Annie Besant. He says I am her in the 1800s. Now, Annie Besant, you can go do your research on her, but there's a Christian movement right now that is spreading, and any woman that has the courage to stand up and challenge their belief systems becomes evil, if you ever seen that. And yet I'm massively dedicated to Christ, so it's a very funny integration of a Platypus Bible. In fact, when God told me what I was doing, he's like, Natalie, you're writing the Platypus Bible. And I said, what's that? And he just smiles at me. I'd never had looked up a platypus before, and so I went and I Googled it. And the first thing that pops up is some theologian said, when God thinks of of a platypus, or when somebody thinks of a platypus, God smiles. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it was the same comforting smile that he had sent me. And so I look at this animal, and this animal has multiple we're talking like it's a duck, it's a bird, it's a reptilian, it's a mammal, it's all of these different species. It's been around since the dinosaurs, and it is able to basically keep evolving to this planet in whatever way it needs to to finish its divine purpose, you could say. And so God says, you are creating a platypus Bible. And so that is what I'm about. I'm interviewing people that are going through the evolution of awarenesses that may not keep the people on this planet may not be keeping up with. I mean, they want to still keep you back 2,000 years and say, no, this is what, yes, he said all those things, but he is much beautiful or more greater than all of that now. He has continued to grow and expand and create planets and more planets and more planets and more planets. He's never stopped expanding, and he's gotten more beautiful and tender at every moment and every step and every way. And you don't become that beautiful as a human being and then not continuously stay on that path. And the reason why I love Jesus so much is because of the awarenesses of grace, mercy, love, tenderness, gratitude, appreciation, those deeper feelings, the peace inside of you, the kingdom of heaven within, is what quadruples your protection on this planet and your awarenesses of what's happening, so that you can synergize and start taking a gift that you were given and bringing it into fruition, because you're not being traumatized by the past. And so it allows you to have faith and never doubt again. And it's really powerful and beautiful. And it saved my marriage, and it's done wonderful things. And God is sexy. Christ is sexy. And I freaking love him. But I also seen other beings. I saw the goddess Athena very vividly in Rome in a vision. So I have a third eye activated. Okay, so my visions are very clear, they're very crisp, they're very clean and very vivid, to the point where there's no denying what I see. And so I've seen goddess Athena, and she's wearing this robe. Well, it's a dress, it's a wedding dress, and there's a veil that's massive, and there's like 10,000 angel or men behind her, all dressed as beautifully as she is. They all have the same gems, colors. It's like white with light blue. It is a very beautiful color. And there's little girls on both sides. They're 8 years old or younger. I'm going to call them the daughters of Zion, because that's what I would have been taught as a child. But I had nowhere in my frequency. I had walked away from religion like 15 years before. I was not even thinking about that. And these beings walk out of the water, right? And then the Christians are saying, we only believe in Christ. And I'm like, Christ created everything, or Christ's Father created everything based on your perspectives of awarenesses. And Christ also trained in India, and he also, whoever was talking to me, respects a lot of their cultures. And there's a planet for every culture out there. There is a planet for everything. This is just like this amusement park of all these different planets God created. It was just like, how can I give you a snow globe and let you go play in this little thing, but I really have all of these other ones for you. And you start realizing that each of these planets is its own utopia. But every time society has been given an opportunity to be taken into a utopia, there's people, or mice, because they compared us to mice, who start trying to control others and tell them what they can believe and what they can't believe and what they can do and what they can't. And you can't believe that because this is what this says. And unless you understand just the Bible, you are not following God. And it's like, whoa, 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 because I like to read, because I like to ask questions, because I like to have a personal relationship with God, because I like to seek. Oh, God, I am so in love with God. That is not the issue here. The issue is we are integrating, and we need to synapses our brains and our minds to be able to understand that there are new thought forms and things coming in, because God is returning. Your deity that you believed in so fully is fucking sexy, and he is coming back, and he's coming back in whatever way he sees fit, and he does not need your permission on how that's going to be done. And it's this thing where you learn to just fucking play. And I say fuck because you know why? Because it chases away judgmental people. And they start saying, well, you said that's a bad word. Yes, I did. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. When you start working with these ascended masters who they say are evil agendas, I'm like, So I meet Christ. He takes me to this planet. He's telling me he creates all these things. He's freaking beautiful. He's sexy. He does look like he came from India to some perspective. He has black hair. He's freaking hot. He's got this divine goddess, this eternal bride with him. Oh my gosh, she is freaking beautiful. She wears this wedding dress. You get to become her, or I don't know how it works, but I got to become her when I got really sick for like a week a couple of years ago. And I got to pop into her body, and every 30 seconds, I got to like see things as if I was God. It was really cool. It was like you were judge, jury, and executor in 30 minutes, and an army's coming, and I would wave my hand and it all turned to ash. It was kind of freaky. But then you could bring an entire village back to life. And that was beautiful because you could watch it all grow back as if nothing happened, as if time shifted and these people had no idea they were ever massacred, and she just brings them right back to life. She's freaking beautiful. And so you see that in the Bible. Well, I didn't see it. I became it, and then God led me to it. He started sending me these mayflowers and these lily of the valleys, and it was integrating and pull me in, and he started to sing to me, and I started to like be drawn to Song of Songs and King Solomon. And then it's all right there. The lily of the valleys, all of it's in there biblically. And so you're on this way of going through the spiritual experience. You've been through religion. You've gone to the other dimension. You know these religions are all working together. I mean, literally, they all got stuck in this other fourth dimension. It was actually quite funny because there was a dragon realm, okay? And this is when the Sophia code comes in, and you're like, oh crap, I've been seeing these dragons. And so you're like, when you cross over, you meet the Pope, you meet people from the Catholic Church. And I was like, I was raised Mormon, and I was raised polygamist, and I was raised, obviously, people from India think I'm a Rishi because I've been talking to God my whole life. So I've been raised through all these like cultural religious shifts, and apparently I can speak in Sanskrit script and other ancient languages. It's like just having tongues inside of me. That sounds so interesting. Long story short, it's this weaving of all these wisdoms and all these knowledges into your internal being, and it is happening all over the globe right now. If you've not noticed, if you haven't felt the shift, others are feeling it, and they are shifting very, very quickly. And it's this thing that's happening whether people want it to happen or not. They're realizing that there's something bigger out there. And the Catholics get up there, and I end up dying and coming back, but I cross over for like 7 minutes, and suddenly I'm in this freaking realm, and there's like all these Catholics who are ordaining me and like putting these things on me, and they put this helmet on me. It's like woo, 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 woo. And this is when I was becoming very clear about the awareness of the goddess Athena. And then they pop me through this next realm, and I'm like, what the freak just happened? And suddenly I'm not human anymore. I actually become a dragon. And I make love to this other masculine dragon. Having sex with a dragon is trippy. And we give birth to this, impregnates, but it's like giving birth over the last year to this new Sophia dragon, or this new reality that we as humans are but a speck of existence. And yet she allows us to believe that we are so mighty and great. And it's this beautiful like integration of all these cultures and religions coming into this dragon theory that is now galactically passing some serious bars of awarenesses. And yet Christ is over there, and he's like, yeah, I created all these worlds. You want to come chill? You want to come hang? You don't need to stay on that planet anymore. You can cross and visit these other places. And then he teaches me and takes me to paradise, and then he teaches me how to weave the Star of David within me so that I can be both in heaven and earth simultaneously. Now, what this looks like to people that don't understand what kind of energy that is it could look like you are on crack. I'm going to be honest. It can. And some of it's actually quite fun, to be really, really honest, because they're so stuck in their little like boxes of what they think is right and wrong that they're not really living. They're just surviving, and they can't really see you because they're in survival. And when somebody's in survival, they have no imagination whatsoever, which means their third eye can't activate. So they're so stuck in this dimension. It's like this hard rock space. And you're like, knock, knock, anyone home? And that is what I'm weaving. I'm weaving that integration and that rainbow bridge. And if I really am Annie Bassett, I mean, according to these people, like, dude, I'm the freaking devil. So that's awesome. But she really wasn't. She was actually so beautiful that when God told me who I was, he and the divine goddess sang to me that they were so in love with my heart because I was such a beautiful being. And they showed me my heart and how beautiful it was and how loving I was. And so when you have a whole race of people that are starting to spread rumors about the spiritual movements and calling everything evil because they question everything because their Bible tells them to, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But you have a quantum leap to make if you actually want to make it onto that little Jesus Christ thing that you guys been talking about. Because if you want to actually cross over into the kingdom of heaven, you got to go within. And they think meditation and sage is evil. They're promoting that the goddess energy is evil. God is not without his queen. God worships his wife. Christ worships his wife. I mean, I've been in paradise. I got sung to for 6 hours. It was nothing but bliss. It's beautiful. So these theories that humanity has about religion are being swept away into this newness that each one of these religions were another stepping stone for the divine to touch humanity, and they each had their golden age and they each have truths, but their leaders are, I don't know. I'm just going to send love to their leaders. I don't even know. I think some of their leaders are really cool. I was wrong about the Pope. He makes it. He's over there. I saw him twice. He laughed at me both times because he's like, "You didn't think I was going to make it?" I was like, "No." But I think it's because I have like some Joan of Arc energy in me. And I ended up channeling her in a book called Channeling the Masters. Oh, by the way, that's evil. That's evil according to the Christians. And what I have to say about the Christians is after my daughter died, she came back in a hexagram, like a what is that? Like hexagon. Okay. And it was like full of energy and it was white and it was right by my bed and I could put my hand in it and I documented it. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences. I was actually really tripped that she was going to manifest physically right there because it was so strong. And I was crying and she says, "Mama, I just want to make sure you're okay before I move on." And then she shows me all of these other worlds and dimensions she's already living in. And it was so vibrant and real as if I was walking. It was like walking, smelling the grass, knowing she's there. It was the most beautiful thing. And this is when I realized we are multidimensional. We are not this one being. We are everywhere, everything, in all these little mini dimensions that we as humans are barely becoming aware of based on science and the philosophies and everything happening currently. And so we have a merger of science and religion, spirituality and physicality. I mean, we are temples, we are spaceships, we are divine vessels of divine truth. And our bodies were meant to access higher awarenesses and cognitive understandings that allow us to quantum leap this experience in a way where we're not just surviving, we're actually thriving. Athena says one thing to me. She says, "Natalie, there's enough for all." And she repeats again, "Natalie, I am coming. There is enough for all." And she just keeps repeating that. And I know I have these armies of heaven. Oh gosh, if you've seen some of these dimensions, they are so darn cute. So darn cute. I love the movie, that one movie. I believe I can fly. That one. What is that? Magic. Yes. The reason why is because there is this dimensions and multiple levels of it where you actually do meet these weird looking creatures and they're cool. It's like being in the Harry Potter movies and they're really neat, to be honest, really neat. And when I went through that, it was like handing my resume to this person who controls Middle Earth. It was freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. All I just remember is this like moment where I was going up this elevator and I could see all these dimensions and they're going, "She is gray, she is gray, she is gray." And that like was an insult at first. I was like, what does gray mean? Okay. That was freaky for me to be gray for a second there. But what it meant was I had integrated the darkness and the light, and I had become one with the awarenesses of both sides because God is very much alchemy. He's moved past all of the issues on this planet. We as the humans are creating and recreating the war systems because of the way we speak, think, feel, and he is just waiting for us to catch up to the fact that he's already fixed it all. We just have to come into his kingdom. There's enough for all, and we have to come into it within ourselves. And when we do that, we become self-governing. And so we don't need all this other control because we learn to control ourselves. We learn to self-govern our internal worthiness, and so that we navigate out of the shame and judgment and ridicule and fears that are on this planet. In fact, God never puts you down. He never insults you. He only loves you because he knows who you are on an infinite spectrum. This lifetime is just like a little blimp of your existence. And yet it's such a pivotal point because it's this time where you get to pick this car, this vehicle, and not everyone is meant to self-actualize this lifetime. Many of you won't even resonate with what I'm saying. You're not going to understand a word I say, and that's okay because you weren't meant to resonate at this frequency yet. But what there is there's this elevator inside of you. And when you start self-actualizing or becoming who you are meant to be, you are expected to speak up and speak out and talk about your experiences, but doing it from a way that creates a positive flow. And yet you are also very conscious and aware that you are becoming a masterpiece and a divine vessel for God. And so sometimes the things that come out of you are not what you expect. And you have to just sit there and go, And you have to pray and know that God has a divine plan for that person and that whatever you said was exactly what they needed to hear. And that is not your business other than that. And so it's learning to fully trust your intuitions, letting God flow through you, allowing him to protect you with his golden shield, being birthed within through the holy golden light. So you start to glow your essence. Eventually, I've seen timelines where I had to wear hoodies like a Jedi because it was so much golden light bursting out of me. This sounds kind of cool. It's like, okay, guys, how do we figure out how to look like them and stay in their frequency? It's really kind of cool because it's like being this light being that came down and took this body and you glow from the inside out. And guys, it's really cool. It's really cool when you start accessing your own internal knowings and you're not so worried about what everybody else thinks. And Abraham Hicks was, I was wondering, why doesn't she believe in Jesus Christ, or does she? And I was just wondering about that because it's such a powerful emblem. But what she said one time was very interesting. It's like she kind of did, or she does, but when she tried to go out and spread these new awarenesses, she was so shut down that it was like, no, like my sacredness is important to me. Who I am is holy to me. And if people want this kind of wisdom and knowledge, they're going to have to seek it out. And this is why Christ says, those who seek me will find me, because we become very much alchemists in the sense that we start living life in a way where we can live for our highest and best good for all of humanity, but simultaneously learn to also do that with ourselves, which gives us way more time. Because if I just rushed out there and just picked up everybody's problems, that would just cause more problems for me. And apparently I can leave this planet anytime I choose. And I've already been invited into God's eternal kingdom and paradise. And I just keep coming back because I don't want to leave anybody behind. But at the same time, we have to be able to thrive here too. So that's the bridge I'm creating. I'm trying to figure out, how do we thrive here, Earth Angels, and still love people unconditionally? Anyways, well, I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. And dear Christians, Annie Besant was not an evil woman, and neither was some of those other people that you persecuted. And if you're looking for a witch hunt, you're hunting yourselves. Christ is the supernatural. Anyways, long story short, I have this wonderful shrine. Oh gosh, I know. But it reminds me of the things that are important to me. My family's in here too. But I am interweaving right now Christianity and Hinduism and the Wankatanka and the Sophia Christ and all of these awarenesses of the Tibetan ways and all these things into something that I can understand and I can become. And what I'm really learning, guys, is some of these churches actually have some really cool truths. I really, really like actually some of them. The LDS people, there's so much truth in there that it makes me smile and giggle. The polygamous cultures have a lot of truth. I'm actually looking at these polygamous cultures that I came from, and I'm watching how they can stabilize these large families. And right now we're all like trying to hold on to the 4 we got, and we're like, whoa! And these people have learned how to take on 5 wives and all of these kids and still have healthy flows to some capacity. And so it's really interesting to start seeing religion from another non-judgmental experience after you spiritually awaken, but simultaneously still staying in your own integrity of knowing that your divine connection with God is just as vitally as important, and you don't have to change yourself or anyone else, and you just learn to trust that inner knowing and have those conversations with Him and not need to barf your stories on everybody that simply just can't comprehend it right now, and that's okay. Anyways, that's my awareness for the day. I hope you all have a blessed day. Oh, and Adam, Darwin's theory, evolution. I'm smiling at you because yesterday at the dinner table, it was either breakfast or dinner, I think it was breakfast, I just randomly turned to my husband and I said, did you know monkeys have about 96% DNA and pigs have like 98% DNA that matches human DNA, and that's why we use pigs' organs instead of monkeys for transplants? And that's it. That's all I said to him. I didn't even know why I said that. But either you're hacking my phone or there's a telepathic connection happening here, because you reached out to me this morning. Can I share something with you? And I'm like, sure. And you're like, so Darwin's theory. And then you send me the monkey. And then you talk about the pigs. And that is why I was laughing. That is why I'm laughing, because I'm like, okay, you're either watching me, listening to me on my phone, or our telepathic connection is very, very clear. It's nice to meet you, friend Adam. And there are a few others. There's a brother right now that is working in the hospitals in his country, and they don't have any blankets and things for his people, and so he goes out and helps these soldiers, and then he gets shot himself. And so there's a lot of people that reach out to me globally right now who are going through situations, and God doesn't let me just save them the way they want to be saved. He has me actually weave intelligence and emotional intelligence inside of them so that they can get themselves out of their pivotal situations. So, long story short, there is some inner work that needs to be done to settle down the internal war inside of you. And what that will do is it will actually navigate you to a career that will get you out of that situation. But simultaneously, I'm grateful that you're there and bringing awarenesses. And the greatest thing you can do is teach those people how to pray and how to speak into existence what they want and how to feel safe. The faster they start feeling safe and knowing they're safe, the faster safety is able to come and surround them. And so this is an affirmation that I learned from Louise Hay, and I recommend you get her book. I don't know if you can find it in your country, but it's called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And that affirmation is, I trust the process of life. All I need to know is given to me in divine right order. I am safe. And I would repeat that over and again, over again. And you can tap here and you can tap here to insert it. And here's a magic trick. If you ask it, you can ask it in question form. The brain will find you a solution quicker and faster. So you can say it 10,000 times. I trust the process of life. All I need is given to me in divine right order. I'm safe.